Greetings of the day, everyone. This is Rohit Mathur, your host for the session today. I head the HR and payroll business unit at Ramco. And in today's session, I'm accompanied by two of my colleagues. Uh, my colleague James Hoal, who's based out of is a veteran in payroll industry. And I'm also accompanied by my colleague Shruthi, who's a payroll specialist, currently locked down in Chennai, but she's generally found at the airports because of her frequent travel. Well, I'm excited to be a part of this session, and I can see audience joining in from South Africa, USA, UK, Middle East. A very warm welcome to everyone. Excited to be here. Coming back on the session, I'm sure during the lockdown period, we will all have heard about opinions and views on various webinars in the lockdown period around payroll changes, disruptions that are happening due to the current situation. We will also discuss some of those issues, but we'll also try and give you a sneak peek into some real life solutions that can help address some of these challenges. We all have seen the disruption in the reporting to work because of the lockdown. First, members turning out to be sick or they're taking care of their family members, thereby reducing the consistency in the work patterns and introducing more flexibility in the work arrangements. Also, when they were working from home, the staff was not able to access all the tools and documents that they would normally be able to access, especially if your systems were on premise. And also, some of the processes that really relied on physical presence, like validating your physical documents or physical sign offs, all of them came under a little bit of stress. And then we also saw some of the cases around missing data, timesheets, their accuracy, and timelines. And as a last resort, many of us would have run some emergency payrolls, temporary payroll cycles based on the past values so that the people are still paid on time and we do the retrospective adjustments later on. And last but not the least, I think most of the governments were coming up with relief programs for businesses and employees in form of tax swaps or regulatory changes. And the payroll teams had to quickly adopt those changes into the payroll calculation so that the employees are paid accurately without impacting any of their payouts. And compliance thus became sort of a little bit of a challenge for most of the companies. So all these three questions around how do we really gear up for challenges going forward, so that despite such disruptions, we can still continue to pay our employees on time and accurately. So truly a time for introspection to see what the digital transformation can do for payroll industry at large, and how do we accelerate that process, which I guess the current situation has really mandated. So going forward, I would invite James to answer one of the questions that I've been hearing across my peer group, which is a debate around whether to keep payroll in-house or outsource. Because the recent disruption did make people think on what is the right strategy and what is the right model to do their payroll processing, to rely on a outside vendor or to continue using it in-house. So James, some view from your side on what is it that you are hearing and what is the perception that you are carrying about the whole thing.
Sure, and thanks, Rohit, and absolutely. So I think that the whole debate around the in-house versus the managed services is certainly coming back into focus again, I think for those reasons that you mentioned there. And I'm actually seeing out there probably 2 out of every 3 customer engagements at the moment, really focusing probably on moving more to an outsourced model, which is on the increase, because typically this is actually skewed more towards an in-house sort of model there, based on my experience there. But I guess there's probably a number of reasons that I'm seeing for this. Probably a number of things such as the size and the geographic spread of the organization, sort of really depending on the size of the organization, whether you're spread across multiple geographies. and that certainly adds to the complexity if you are. And even those organisations in a single location, but again, they can also have some sort of key challenges. But I think underlying it all there is really the whole focus on the increasing complexity around compliance as well. We've had a massive shift in the regulatory space lately due to the COVID-19, and really a number of countries, a number of different parts of our region here and the whole world, in effect, has actually had to sort of cope with this and really be able to make a lot of changes in a very, very short time. And here in Australia, where I'm based here, we had a number of changes there that there were very, very specifically what we call JobKeeper. That has a major work done to try and support the people there, and a lot of tweaks along the way, and probably still more to come there as well. So we're still not out of it yet. We also have some other bits and pieces here around salary or annualized salary changes. And I think this really affected a lot of the countries around there. So it's certainly put a lot of pressure. And I think what I'm also seeing there is that the number of legislative changes is increasing, but also the pace of the change is increasing. And I think this is actually having an impact on how the organisations really are looking to perhaps start to outsource their payroll and actually reconsider the whole argument there. Probably the other thing I'd actually mention there was probably around the overall strategy that the organisation adopts. I've really been, are there more outsourcing or the more in-house? And that's certainly been, a bit of a tough decision for organisations to make. And I don't think there's any particular right or wrong reason or outcome of that. It really does depend on a number of areas around complexity, number of countries you operate in, costs, local challenges, any legislative changes, etc. But I think that probably the whole thing that I'm seeing that underpins it all there is really trying to adopt a lower risk approach. It's probably the key reason.
Yeah, thanks for that, James. But does that mean the organizations need to have an option or lever for an interplay between both these models, the outsource versus in-house, and probably take a call based on the business dynamics as they evolve? Is that something that you see out here spanning out?
Sure, and I think this is certainly uppermost in a lot of organisations' minds at the moment, to try and work out how to best sort of sit this model. And I think that maybe they're actually looking out for that interoperability of really being able to move from an in-house model to maybe an outsourcing. And I think the big factors there are really trying to do this without causing any huge disruption or huge implementation costs and sort of high risk, etc. And I think that typically what we've seen, in the past is that organizations, when they change their service provider from an in-house to an outsource model, typically that does actually create quite a huge risk and cost for the organization. And I guess what the important message is wouldn't necessarily be the same with our Ramco customers, because essentially the same platform is used if you're running in-house as a platform, or actually outsourced through managed services there. But I think the most important thing there is you've got the ability to make that swap. And I think the other aspect there is organizations are looking for really ways to actually improve efficiency, really enhance technology in adoption, new trends, etc., but also enhance the employee experience for those actually employees in the organizations there. Thanks, Rohit.
Yeah. Sure, James, can't agree more with you on that front. And while you mentioned on the technology platform, just to add, I think it's important for the technology platform to not just be an aggregator platform, which means you're still relying on your gross to net computation from a local party or a third party vendor. But I guess the entire gross to net computation for all the countries that you're supporting should happen on this common platform. And that's probably giving you an advantage to shift between models, because if you don't do that,
and yeah, and I think whatever approach the organisation takes, I think the most important aspect there is that the platform must be robust and be able to support all those computations and all the requirements it must do, and you must also provide that interchangeable between the different modes.
Sure. Thanks, James. And on that note, we have a very interesting question coming in from Mr. Chris Page. You mentioned global payroll. Do you support payroll in the US? Yes, Mr. Page, we are launching our US payroll now, and there are beta customers or the pilot customers who are taking up the US payroll now in coming few months. We right now are supporting some 45 plus countries across APAC, and US is something that we are launching very soon. with some of our pilot customers? Thanks for that question, Mr. Page. All right. James, you also touched upon a very, very important, pertinent topic, especially in today's times, around the compliance. It was definitely a complicated task, but I guess with the onset of regulatory requirements that came up as a result of COVID, it became much complex a task than ever before. So my next question to you, Shruti. Uh, with so much of complexity around compliance and so much of fast-paced changes that are coming in, how do you think a global organization setup can lead pace with such changing requirements around compliance? And does automation have any role to play out there?
Thanks, Rohit. So, compliance is indeed a nightmare for a lot of organizations, especially the ones with large headcounts scattered across the globe. Having said so, handling these compliances has been a piece of cake at Ramco, thanks to our payroll bureau. So this bureau is basically a team of our in-house tax experts, a few independent consultants, and the major Big Four consulting firms as well. So this team ensures our product is up to date with statutory changes across all the 45 countries that we service. In addition, we also use a compliance monitoring tool, which is provided by one of the Big Four. It basically helps us monitor updates and also track our compliances. So basically, what happens is that the member firms push their statutory updates real time onto this tool, which we then work upon and track to closure. So this tool basically helps us proactively update our compliances rather than addressing them reactively. Now that I've talked about the tool, let me just also give you a quick glimpse of how it makes our lives easy.
That helps.
So the tool is basically, more of a dashboard which gives end-to-end visibility, real time across countries. So you can filter by country or by state or even by compliance category. For instance, recently in Australia, we had JobKeeper updates, so you can then filter by category. And this tool also has an inbuilt workflow. So there's a provision to assign a compliance owner and a reviewer for every requirement that you have on the tool. Basically, the filters for state can be different depending on country, and you can also track by criticality, which is again based on the cost of non-compliance pretty much. And while you track criticality, you can see what is pending with which team based on the legend that you can see here. And this was a very quick overview of the capability of the tool itself. But just to spend a little more time, you can also drill down on this tool. So here, for instance, I'm just using New South Wales as an example. So once I do that, you'll notice that the compliances have gotten updated, right? So you can see the overall compliance at state level, and you can also see action items on the right. You click on any of those, it basically drills down and takes you to the line item level of detail if you need to look at it. So that's pretty much how the tool helps us stay updated real time across all our countries.
That certainly seems interesting, and especially at the leadership level, I think it does give a view of your percentage compliance at any given point of time, and sort of it looks like it's real time, and you can probably drill down to see what are those areas that you are still not compliant on. Certainly looks very, very interesting. And since you mentioned it was a piece of cake, I would just want to ask you how sustainable was this? When the sudden outbreak of COVID happened and the slurry of compliance changes started coming up, how did you manage to bring all the changes at a very rapid pace inside the product?
Well, I would say it was just business as usual for us because we had, like, I think, a whopping 35 changes across 17 countries, all of which we developed and released to our customers as per the stipulated deadlines over the last 4 months. So, how all of this was possible for us is basically because our product is homegrown and it's built on a single code base. So, this enables us to go live much faster with our changes. So, being a unified platform across countries, our payroll engine is global by design, but it's local by compliance. So, we have a standard global framework which we localize for every country. And it is this framework which helps us achieve faster go live cycles. So to sort of sum it up, Rohit, the platform is very robust and configurable. And most of these changes, in fact, have been configurations for us and they weren't ground up development.
Interesting. Shruti, but there would have been situations where the changes had to be done on the fly, which means some of the changes had to be done by the customer themselves without relying on a partner like Ramco. And they still needed that flexibility in their hands to make those changes. And there were, I'm sure, a lot many instances where, with the evolving test directives and inconsistent work patterns, various pay elements like bonuses or overtimes would have to be paid and configured in a real-time scenario. So how does that happen, and how do you give the power of configuration in the hands of the customers themselves?
Very important point, Rohit. In fact, a lot of customers like to be empowered with being able to do things on their own. So, taking this back to the configurability and the flexibility of the platform that I was just talking about, the product basically has a lot of inbuilt configurators, and we use these configurators to address a lot of customer specific policies, be it around overtime or leave or even payroll. So these configurators empower customers to set up their own policies using front end screens. There's absolutely no technical intervention out there. So let me just explain this with an example. So the scenario that we're looking at here is something where customer wants to define a service based bonus. So all the customer needs to do is create a pay element called service based bonus and set it up. So here, for instance, up to 5 years is 20% of salary, and more than 5 is 30%. So you can also set minimum maximum cap for such configurations. And the best part is that it's effective dated. So you can assign a new effective date every time you need to change these configurations. And similar configurations can be done for any of combination of HR parameters, right? So for instance, a cost of living allowance based on city, or maybe a car fuel reimbursement based on the grade or designation. So it's pretty much flexible out there. As you can see, it has a lot of provision to set up and choose combinations as you set up your policies.
Sounds really interesting, and looks like you made the compliance much more easy out here, Shruti. So thanks for that. Um, the next question I would want to pose to you, James, and yet another concern that I kept hearing in the payroll world is how do you increase the transparency and visibility, especially in the current times? There were instances that I heard from people where the local payroll processors or the payroll administrators couldn't turn to work because of the lockdown situations or their personal situations. And the central payroll teams wanted to get a view on what is pending, what is the status of the payroll, what is it that they need to take action on, so that we don't miss the payroll cycles and still be able to pay the employees on time. And given the fact that most of them were working from home, how could that visibility or how could that transparency be brought about so that there was a fallback on the other teams taking over? And again, what is the automation play out here?
Sure. Thanks, Rohit, and absolutely. So I think that what I'm really sort of distilling from that all there is that really we need to find ways to have systems really provide us with a much smarter approach to really help us in this sort of times as we are going through at the moment there. So really it's about systems providing the ability to start working with the actual payroll staff and to actually update them and to actually alert them of any conditions or any issues that they actually might require attention. So try and take some of the load off them as such. So I think some of the areas that we've certainly been working in here at Ramco is the area around RPA or chatbots and really using microservice links to the system. We can actually start to interrogate the system and actually give the payroll leadership their real-time visibility over all the payroll processes, payroll status, early detection of any issues, etc. but it's a way of actually connecting them directly with that system and be able to actually access it wherever they are, whether at home, on the way to work, wherever it might be. But I think that having that ability to have direct access to your system and get live status updates it is certainly a very, very important thing. And this is all without even to log into the system there. So I'll actually be showing you an example of that in a minute. But I think that the other thing that's also important there is you need to have the systems going to provide you good insights, good actionable dashboards, ability to actually drill down and highlight again all those issues there that you need to know about. So it's about being smarter and be able to have more easy access to that sort of information. So here at Ramco, we've actually got a very, very powerful payroll dashboard there that is actually available to the team, and it actually doesn't matter if you're a managed services customer or an in-house customer. It's exactly the same system there. But I think the most important thing, you actually know the exact status of your payroll in real time. The actual payroll is very, very interactive and actually guides the users through the whole process of running payroll. And what I might do is actually show you a quick video there if I can. So on this payroll dashboard here, it's one screen. Whatever countries you operate in, whatever parts of your business you actually have there, we can give you one screen that covers the whole of your organization on one single screen. We also provide other panels of information there to actually help you, give you details with real-time information about statuses, any details around outstanding issues, and any pending tasks that you might need as well. But essentially, it's about giving that information about each of those individual pay sets. So you can actually drill down and see any other information, pay periods. You can also look back into the past if you need to as well. But I think it's all about giving that information in, as I said before, in real time. Being able to drill down into the next stage of the actual payroll hub itself and actually take part and actually see and actually run the payroll process all from the one single screen there is also very, very powerful. But I think we actually go a little bit further than that, and we start to actually have the system prompt us and tell us information that it actually needs to help us get a good quality payroll out of the door as well. So anything that might be impacting the quality of the payroll, data missing, inconsistencies, etc., we can actually highlight here in real time as well, so you know directly what's going on. And any data sets that might be missing here, we can simply just highlight them, click on that, send a message off there, and send it directly to those people that might be affected there as well. So it's about that real time, as I said before. Also having real-time payroll readiness checks. So as you're running the payroll there, it's going to give you information directly, any critical errors, any warnings, etc. But ability to actually see everything there right at your fingertips, again, so you can act on them and fix them up and actually correct them there. But again, to make things as simple and as easy as possible there for you as well. But I think this all goes hand in hand with providing that whole single screen approach to running the whole payroll process. So move on now to the actual payroll process itself. We provide little infographics that actually give you, again, information, more details, might be comparatives from the last period, cost variances, etc. Again, anything that's going to help you make sure that that payroll is actually got all accurate information associated with it as well. But to actually support that as well, we also provide further variance analysis here in real time as well. So we actually can highlight certain other conditions that you might want to drill down onto. We can actually go right down, all the way down to the actual particular error, and then drill down and actually see any particular person or persons that might be impacted by that particular condition there. So it's about having the information all directly at your fingertips there. And again, you can drill down and see for more information there and get different views of the current data going through your payroll system as well. So it certainly is a very, very easy and simple way to actually process your pay. We're going to go have a quick look at the Insights dashboard now and actually see what sort of information we can actually drill down there as well. But again, it's providing that information real time, being able to drill not into the current payroll period, but can actually go and actually do cost comparisons, salary variances against not only current period, but also previous periods as well. So that information is all complete at your fingertips there. So thanks, Rohit. What do you think of that?
Well, it sounds definitely exciting and does give a visibility right from a very global level and drilling down to even the last transaction and probably even taking action on it. So looks like it's not just sort of a dashboard, but it's also looking like a workspace which helps you drill down for information as well as execute transactions out there, which looks to be a powerful feature. But let me push the envelope further and make life a little more difficult for you.
Thank you.
In the situation that we are in, we also saw some of the people were not even able to access the application. How could you still give them visibility and transparency, even if they were not able to access their web application?
Absolutely. So I'll probably go back to my previous point that I brought up before about providing real-time updates from the system, again, without having to log in there. So really utilizing that whole chatbot framework there. So we've actually developed what we call a SPOC bot. And no, it's not something to do with Star Trek, but it's a single point of contact. It's almost like a payroll manager's view of the actual system there. And through this one chatbot here, the SPOC bot, we're able to see directly exactly what's going on with the payroll status there. So they actually quiz it directly on the status, highlight any issues, and all this directly at the fingertips. So we're working, driving into work or on the train, etc., and know exactly what's going on with the system before they even get into there. So again, I've got another quick video here to give you a quick view of what that might look like. So here again, I'm simply just having a conversation with systems using the microservices. Essentially, I'm able to drill down, see what the payroll status is there. If there are any particular conditions or issues there, again, I can drill down there. But I'm just simply having a conversation with the system, and it's actually coming back to me and giving me the actual responses there, actually, as I'm actually conversing with it there. But it essentially is a way of actually, very, very easily simply talking to your system. And I think this certainly is a very, very powerful feature there as such for, as I said before, both our managed service customers and our in-house customers there. So Rohit, I hope you sort of saw a glimpse there of some of the capability that we've been working on here at Ramco to really help our customers sort of deal with the conditions out there at the moment. Thank you.
And this certainly looks like intelligent payroll, which is like an assistant and always tagging along with you. It's not leaving you. And I'm sure your wife is not going to be too happy about it because it's always something that you are.
You're always exactly connected. Yeah.
All right, great. Thanks for that wonderful piece of video, James. It did give a little insight. Let me put some of the next questions to you, James, again. And these are around people dependency, as I discussed in my initial brief. And that's something that, again, I'm hearing a lot from the payroll community on how do we adopt to the new normal. And under this, try and reduce, obviously, we can't do away with the people dependency, but can we optimize the people dependency? And do we have backup plans in case of individual teams don't turn out to the office? So obviously, it involves some bit of cross-skilling, cross-training. But how do you see automation playing a role out here and the software becoming a backup just in case the employees are not able to turn out to work?
Sure, and I think you've touched on some very important points there. So really it's around trying to really harness that technology to really provide what we call enablers to actually increase the level of automation and to actually assist the users and provide more access to that sort of information they might need to actually make the job a bit easier. So I'm actually going to talk through a few things today. But first of all, I think that the importance that automation has today is really in providing a much smarter systems to really help them to extend the capabilities. And I think when I sort of go into the next stage there, you can see how we can start to identify the issues, help you reduce the errors, and I think also the overall help to reduce some of the costs as well. So, and I think that if you actually sort of take some of the circumstances we've had some fairly large payroll errors out there in the papers, etc. Any of the large payroll errors there can actually make quite a huge impact and take an enormous amount of time to rectify. And I think that using one of our new developed capabilities around artificial intelligence and machine language there, we can actually provide an additional layer of validation to actually help to highlight any of these inconsistencies. It's a little bit trying to find that outlying information or maybe a needle in a haystack there. But really what we're trying to do is harness this technology to help streamline your processes and create what we would call self-validating payrolls, where all you need to do is actually just to confirm and validate. So really moving towards move more towards what you intimated before, and to highlight those variances based on past patterns, etc. So typically in this space here, to replace that would have required a lot of manual effort to trawl through a whole lot of different reports there to try and find these little errors that they might have slipped through. But the whole point there is we actually provide an additional layer there to actually help them to highlight these errors, as I mentioned. So this way, we actually have the system work with you and actually provide real-time insights and visibility over any variances. So let me show you another quick video that I have there for you. So this one here is, again, this is in our development stage here. We're actually bringing this up now, where we actually can drill down into different data sets, select the actual period they want to look at there, and the system's actually gone through and actually found some certain anomalies or maybe some data missing, or something there's actually identified some sort of pattern that might be out of place there. But again, looking much larger data sets and running algorithms over to find those missing data sets there. So essentially, we can have different data sets there and actually crawl and actually bring those data elements right up here, so you can actually see them in real time there and actually deal with those issues there as they've actually have occurred there. So really what we are moving towards, and you alluded to this before there, is really starting to develop the capacity to have a self-running payroll system. And really we're starting to get maybe a little bit science fiction-y here, but really sort of getting to the stage now where where we can actually say, the system will say, do you want me to run the payroll now? And we can say, yes, please. It'll go away and run the payroll and say, I've actually found 3 errors. Do you want me to go and email them to you and say, yes, please? So it's a little bit far-fetched maybe, but this is technically possible now. We're actually not that far away from that there. So really, yeah, thanks, Rohit.
Yeah, thanks for that spin, James. The sci-fi bit does seem exciting, and I think most of it is now a reality. Doesn't remain a sci-fi anymore. But what I hear you say is it's basically crawling on your historical data and trying to understand the patterns from your historical data, which
Correct.
essentially
Yeah.
means you need to have a rich historical base for the system to predict and establish a pattern and thereby guide you on the anomalies that it can possibly see, both on the input side as well as on the output side.
Correct.
So, James, another point that I had was on the workforce optimization. How do you think, apart from this validation, we can use other levers to see that the workforce is still optimized further?
Sure, I guess there's other technology there that we've actually been working on as well there, and that is really sort of harnessing two technologies together to try and again provide some additional levers and some additional capability there to help the business as well. So we've actually taken the ability with the OCR, optical character recognition, which is a fairly well tried and true tested technology out there. We've also harnessed it with our AI ML, artificial intelligence capability there, to really provide an additional layer of intelligence there. So typically this might be used when we want to have a user upload some sort of validation or some sort of tax proofs, maybe in India, or maybe a sick leave certificate in Australia. But anywhere where you need to actually scan a document and have an extra layer of actually checking and balancing, put over the document there, we can actually provide you an extra layer there to check for any data, inconsistencies, mismatches, errors, etc. And actually, I'm going to show you another quick video now, if I can. So this is actually on a WhatsApp platform. So we actually have our chatbots on most of the common platforms out there. But again, it's just simply the user interacting with the system directly. And this time, the system's actually prompting the user to actually go and actually submit certain types of information that it would need to do. So using the actual chatbot here and the actual conversation, we can actually prompt the user to actually upload directly any particular documentation that they might need to do as a validation of some process, as I mentioned before. So it's a very, very easy way. The user just gets prompted for it, loads it up the actual information there. The system takes it in there, OCRs, it scans it in there, and then starts matching the data, trying to find certain information there that might actually highlight an issue. And in this case here, it actually found a mismatch there. So it's essentially just another layer of validation of checks and balances there of the data there to provide an extra layer of assistance for the payroll staff. So Rohit, I think this is just like 3 of the examples we've been working on here as different technology enablers to really try and help the organizations deal better with better insights and more timely pay cycle processing. Thanks, Rohit.
Sounds really exciting. And in fact, the last example that you gave, and I can definitely relate to it in the Indian context. During the year end, one of the important job is to validate all the proofs versus the declarations that people have made inside the system. And you generally go on to add more people during these times so that the physical verification can happen. And now, if it's completely done on a WhatsApp or a bot mode, I'm sure that stress on the workforce can be reduced drastically,
Absolutely.
and most of the stuff can happen automatically. So I guess that's definitely looking like an interesting way to optimize the workforce and make sure that they're doing the job that they're best suited for. Well, I guess have a couple of questions that are coming up, and I've been just holding this for a logical point. Let me pick up the questions one by one. So there's a question from Tim. What size companies is this platform best suited for in terms of number of users? Is it appropriate for smaller businesses? Shruti, you want to take a shot at that, and maybe I can add.
Sure, Rohit. So, uh, as a target market, we pretty much focus on maybe 1,000 plus employees, but usually they are the multi-country ones. So, single country is also there, but largely multi-country payroll-led opportunities.
Yeah. So, Tim, maybe I can add the application is definitely much more useful or exciting for a multi country scenario where you are trying to process multi regions and wanting to utilize one common technology platform. I think that's where the system really unleashes its power. But having said that, since the payroll is available for various geographies, it's easy to configure, and we can still go ahead with the smaller businesses as well. So there is no a really constraint in terms of whether it can be used for a smaller businesses or not. But yes, the real power comes in when it's a multi-country at play. All right. I have another question coming in from Joe's. Do you use bots for Microsoft Teams? And James, since you touched upon it, maybe
Sure.
I'll let you take that up.
Absolutely. I think this is an important point that our chatbots are available on a number of the most commonly used platform, Teams, Skype, etc., WhatsApp, etc. But it certainly is a very widely available. I think we're even available on WeChat. So absolutely.
Thanks, James, which essentially means that the power to choose the platform is essentially with the user, and whatever platform, whatever mode they are comfortable with, they can go ahead and use that platform for their communication. Thanks for that, James. There's a question coming in from Aishwarya. Can the customers generate and extract their own monthly payroll register reports for the monthly payout? Shruti, can I pass that question to you?
Absolutely. So salary registers or pay registers are pretty much available out of the box as standard reports, and definitely possible where customers do have access to the applications to log in themselves and sort of download these reports themselves.
All right. Okay, let's move on to the next challenge that the industry is facing and how we probably can address some of that. So, Shruti, while we did speak about how we are making life simpler for the payroll administrator or the core payroll users, I'm sure during these times, the employee engagement from an end user perspective also sort of was a little challenge. Because the help desk were sort of coming up in a lean fashion. They were not completely operational, and the employees were looking for information. So, what role did automation have to play in such a situation to ensure that the employee engagement is intact and there are no misses in the information that the employees are looking for?
Sure. So over the last few years, Rohit, we've been heavily focusing on providing frictionless employee experience at Ramco through our product, and we've been trying to do this through a concept called Zero UI, where the idea is basically to allow employees to decide which channel they would want to use to communicate with the system. So we did talk about a lot of these platforms, and we'll be looking at them as well. But as a result of this, we currently support self-service through chatbots, email, voice assistants, mobile app, and of course the traditional desktop portal as well. So, as part of this Zero UI initiative, we launched our enterprise chatbot called Ramco Chia to serve as a digital assistant for employees. And Ramco Chia today supports 30 plus functions, not just across self-service, but also it also handles payroll queries and HR policy queries as well.
Sounds good, and I'm interested to know more, Shruti. Does that really mean that while the chatbot can help you with transaction-related queries, does it also, in some way, take over the job that typically the help desk was responsible for? I generally turn into the help desk to have some clarifications around my payslip mismatches. Does the chatbot come in handy there as well?
In fact, Rohit, that's an interesting point, and that's where it all started for us. I mean, like we've realized that almost 70% of employee queries related to pay can be automated using these chatbots because all the required data is available in the system. So that's when we enhanced Ramco Chia, which is our chatbot, to address pay-related queries as well. Post which we noticed a significant reduction in the time that HR spends in sort of answering these queries. So let me just show you a few use cases here. So we're looking at a scenario here. Basically, the employee is from Singapore, so he or she wants to know how is the CPF calculated, right? So it's seamless here, and the employee is just talking to the bot. There's no human intervention at all, and the entire breakup is coming up here. Similarly, the employee is now asking, can I compare my current salary with, let's say, the last pay cycle, or maybe a different pay cycle, and it quickly brings up variances at a pay element level, right? So the employee can choose to pick and look at the required variances across each of these elements. What's interesting here is that this concept has a localized flavor to it as well. I mean, like if you look at Australia, it would be superannuation. If you look at Philippines, it would be a social security. So we're talking different countries, we're talking different contexts here, but the bot seamlessly sort of picks the context of the employee and takes it from there.
Sounds really exciting, and I think the bot is answering a lot of questions for you. Is it also answering what kind of increments are you expecting next year, Shruti?
I wish it did, maybe not yet.
Sure, that's really getting exciting, and I think it's probably bordering on a lot of personalization. And I can definitely appreciate the bot is acting like an assistant and is sort of is more personalized assistant to you. Um, Shruti, let me put another round of challenge to you also. While we are seeing this personalization happening for the chatbot, if I'm a heavy web application user and I have transactions that I still want to do on the web application, what kind of personalization one can expect there? And is it something that the technology can offer there also and understand me better, like your chatbots?
So that's been something that we've been thinking about as well. So at some point in our journey of enhancing user experience, we sort of realized that the system has to be intelligent, right? It should not expect users to sort of key in data which can be defaulted or predicted based on the pattern of usage. So this led to us introducing a concept called UPE, which is called Universal Personalization Engine. And this is basically to sort of provide a personalized user experience, not just for employees, but core administrators as well. And again, this is irrespective of the channel of communication. So to put it in simple words, I would say UP is like, a barista in your favorite coffee shop who knows your preference and serves you exactly what you would ask for even before you place an order. So let me just now relate this concept with a few examples from an employee engagement perspective. So here's an employee who travels between let's say Chennai and Malaysia very often, almost every fortnight. So what you'll see is the traditional data entry approach here, right? So there's no UP in this world. So it's just the mundane way of doing a data entry where everything has to be manually entered, and that's when the employee gets to submit a request. On the contrary, if you look at life with UPE, this is how it would look. So it would just show up all there. It's all defaulted based on the pattern of the employee's transactions. So here we've used, for instance, frequency as the concept, where you can see everything is defaulted. The employee just needs to change the dates. And having said that, obviously the flexibility of wanting to change the default if required is always there. But what we're trying to highlight here is the fact that it defaults, and then you can change it if required.
And Shruti, the power of choosing between the frequency and the recency, is it something that lies with the user?
Absolutely. So, in fact, I was just waiting to hear from you before I show you another example. The one that we saw right now on travel was more based on frequency, as I said. But the next one that I'm going to show you is based on recency. So, yes, to answer your question, it's definitely configurable based on the use case. You can pick it up. So, just bringing up the next example for you. So here's a different example where an employee, right, is applying a leave. And of late, we are all locked down at home. So typically, we do a work from home maybe for a few weeks at a time, or maybe for the whole month at a stretch. But the system again here picks up the pattern, right? So when the employee says apply leave, it knows that the employee is working from home. So it's just defaulting it out there. All the employee needs to do is change the dates and go ahead. So this again is an example, Rohit, as we were just talking, where we are showing how recency has a play here, and basis which UP pretty much works on the defaulting.
Awesome. Shruti, looks like the system knows you much better than your spouse does. Not too sure if it's a good
Very
thing,
but
but
true.
yeah. All right. Couple of more questions which are coming up. Have a question from Shailendra. Do you have self-service for payslip for resources? Shruti, I think you just touched upon it, so maybe I'll let you answer this one.
Sure, Rohit. So, yes, we do have self-service provision for employees. Again, as I said, it's independent of the channel of communication, right? So you could do a traditional desktop portal, you could use a chatbot, you could use email as well. So the mobile app, pretty much all channels are definitely available for employees to look at the test.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Shruti. Um, we have a couple of more questions that are coming up, and it's around integration related to time and attendance. And let me then mold my questions to you, James, around this particular track, and that probably would answer this question as well. Um, what we've started to see is the payroll cycle getting crunched on a real fast basis, and especially the COVID related situation accelerated that. While it was always a challenge to be running against time, because the inputs were coming at the last hour, the timesheets were coming at the last hour, and we had to make sure that we incorporate all those inputs and still be able to pay out on time. But I'm certain that the COVID situation did put additional pressure because the changes were much rapid and were coming at a much faster pace. James, how do you see automation helping us out there? And how do you see an integration aspect can help solve some bit of these challenges?
Absolutely, Rohit. I think that's definitely the case of where we're moving to in the digital transformation. As such, we're moving towards a much more of an integrated world, that we will start to need information in more of a real time as well. And I think bring up your point there about trying to reduce the pay cycle timeframes, etc. We need access to real-time information here to actually provide that ability to actually go into a much more reduced time frame of getting information, not only in a more timely manner, but also in a more accurate manner as well. And I think that we need to really harness some of those areas that we've actually sort of expanded on in our own business here. We've got very, very tight integrations with some of the common platforms out there, be it Workday, Oracle, SuccessFactors, etc., and also many finance systems. And I think to answer Jose's questions there, again, we provide a lot of different integrations into many different time and attendance systems out there as well, and it's certainly part of our bread and butter as well. But I think that really does support the overall best practice approach where we are wanting to really ensure that data is entered once in the system and also remains a single source of the truth. So I think that is where the integration really plays a really very strong factor there as such there. Rohit?
Thanks for that, James. Truly, that means the integrators or the standard connectors with most of the standard softwares is a key out here. And it's so coincidental that we have a couple of questions which are pointing to this itself. Have a question from Brett. Do you integrate with leading HRIS providers like Workday or Oracle? So maybe you want to throw some light there,
Timing.
James.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think this is absolutely one of our bread and butters there. We've got many customers we have a very strong integration with both Workday and Oracle there in many different geographies around the world as such. So absolutely, we provide that connection.
Right. So maybe let me just add a few more pointers out here. I think from a Workday perspective, just to get a little bit more technical, we support both their interfaces, the Pechi interface and the Pickoff interface. And with Oracle, we are also utilizing their GPI framework for integration. So there's fair amount of tight integration which exists with the third-party HRIS providers as well, because that's how you coexist. And there are some large installations that are already live with these integrations with Workday and Oracle. We had another question on similar lines from Jose again, and this was on integration with time and attendance and staffing scheduling solutions. Yes, so Jose, the integrations also exist with the third-party time and attendance providers. Kronos is something that we work big time with. There are connectors for Kronos as well. And there are some other providers like Time to Work, which are also something that we integrate with. All right. James, coming back onto my earlier question, while you answered the stuff around integration and how with a tight integrator or a connector, some of these data-related issues can be done away with and we can save time out there. But more importantly, you still have inputs that are coming from employees which do not arrive on time or which are not accurate. How do you deal with situations like those? Because more often than not, they are sort of cause of delay for the payroll process. What does automation do out there and how does it help?
Sure. So I think this is really that perennial problem out there of you've done all the best things, you've done your work, you're out there, and you're still waiting on some last minute timesheets there, and you're sort of harassing people to get those timesheets into you. So I think what we've got to do is actually find a much smarter way to actually get that timesheet into the system much easier from the employees. And I think that any system out there that is modern and digital really needs to be smart to be able to enable employees to very quickly and easily and seamlessly bring the timesheets into the system, and even go to the next level, actually providing a bit of intelligence and actually defaulting in this sort of information that they actually would need to put in there, again, to try and make it as simple and easy for them to actually get rid of those excuses. And I guess we've all been there where, you need that information there. So you want to take away as many of those excuses as possible there, and actually provide as much input to the user, default information there, and really sort of say, here's your email, here's your detail, and actually fill in your timesheet right now. I've actually got a quick video on how I've actually made this happen in our system. So it's just through Outlook, as an email comes in there from the system, comes in towards the end of the day. But the most important thing is actually defaulted the information in that that the employee needs to fill into the system there. And all they have to do is actually just literally put in the number of hours there, hit the submit button there, and it goes straight into the system there. No problems at all, and straight there as well. So it's really about interconnectivity and very simple and automated.
Sounds good. James, a leading question there would be if I'm sure the system is trying to understand from my behavior and my past patterns. So if I'm working on multiple projects, does the system proactively default those for me and sends it out as a proactive alert?
Absolutely. So again, comes back to the system being able to detect exactly what you're working on there. It knows what you're actually working on there, and simply just faults in whether it be 2 or 3 different project lines there. And all the employee has to do is actually fill in what the hours worked against each one, and hit the submit button.
All right, James. Looks like you've taken away the perennial excuse of
No more excuses.
I don't have time to fill my timesheets. So I think that excuse is probably taken away with the system prompting you to take action on your timesheets. Certainly
Absolutely.
helps. Since you're talking about time and attendance and timesheets, Shruti, there's a whole lot of discussion around the evolution of time and attendance mechanism as such. Given the new normals that are getting defined for back to work and the safety requirements that most of the organizations are enforcing so that their people are safe when they're back to work. Some quick view around what kind of automation are we talking about in that area?
Sure, Rohit. Can't agree with you more on that. In fact, so we did launch, an attendance capture option with using facial attendance about 2 years ago, and we also added breath analyzer a year later. But in the current pandemic situation, with all the focus on increased health and safety, what we've done is enhance this feature to address thermal screening as well, along with facial recognition being able to detect masks. So while I'll show you a video shortly, I think what I want to highlight here is that the unique value proposition is that this is tightly integrated with our time and attendance module, which means if let's say an employee is not allowed access into the office because of high temperature, then the system automatically sends an alert to the manager, and it also sort of applies leave automatically. So if you can see this video here, the employee pretty much did a thermal screen. First tried entering without the mask, then system didn't allow, so it just basically employee used the mask and then got entry into the office. So just to sort of bring it to a logical closure here. So basically, it is all touchless, as you have noticed, and you can integrate this to turnstiles and IoT doors as well.
That sounds really exciting, and I'm sure, Shruti, you are also working on how to keep safe distance and alert if at all you detect somebody with likely symptoms around the pandemic. Uh, is that something that's in the offing?
Yes, indeed. So we are, as we speak, we are working on social distancing, contact tracing, and all of these features, which are in the works. Hopefully, we'll have something more to show you the next time we catch up.
All right. The discussion is really going on very, very engaging, and I'm seeing a whole lot of questions coming in from audience. Would love to take all of them, but I guess we are scarce on the time, and I can definitely see the clock staring at us. So we should wrap up. But what we can certainly do is provide answers to all your queries one-on-one and get back with replies there. So thanks everyone. Thanks for being around. It was a lovely, engrossing discussion. And if I can sum it up, the way it is panning out is that the payroll industry definitely is seeing a lot of disruption. And there are a couple of challenges ahead of us, crunching our pay cycles, ensuring that we have optimized cost, because obviously that's also coming under pressure and scanner now. And last but not the least, having transparency and visibility for both employees as well as the core payroll users. And I guess the technologies like these around AI, around chatbots, are certainly going to be a large lever for us to push the digital transformation in the payroll arena. So on that note, I would thank everyone again, and do stay tuned in for next couple of sessions that are coming on from Ramco, and we'll see you around there soon. Thanks once again, everyone. Thanks, James. Thanks, Shruti.
Thanks, Ray.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.